segregation is when people have a tendency to hang around people of their own geographic region. It can be racial, it can be by country and whatever, but they have a tendency to make friends with exclusively those people.
I guess self-segregation is among the APA community, having different cultures kind of stay within themselves rather than kind of getting involved with the rest of the APA community.
Self-segregation is when people stick to the community that they identify with most and call their home, whatever that means for them. That could be a cultural, ethnic, nationality, that could be sexual orientation, just sticking to what you feel is your group, your most
When Asian people tend to hang out with other Asian people to the exclusion of hanging out with other people.
Based on what I feel self-segregation is, it's probably something in which a group might feel that they identify with each other, and as a result of that, they spend a greater deal of time with each other.
Separating myself from other people and just spending time with just the people I'm comfortable with. So I guess since I'm Korean, if I am self-segregating myself, then I would only hang out with Korean American people and segregate myself from Caucasian people. Or
more just segregation that's not formalized.
For me, self-segregation would mainly mean sticking with I guess just the ethnicity that you're most closely to, I guess.
Self-segregation, I guess, is a general definition for me is how a lot of people tend to just look for social interactions within a group of people who share many similar characteristics of themselves. Those characteristics generally tend to center around race or...
it sounds like it's people by their own volition kind of putting themselves into groups where they're comfortable, I guess.
Self-segregation is the idea where a culture or group or an individual will limit itself from interaction with society or others.
I definitely think that, especially as a South Asian in the APA community, there's a tendency to kind of stay within the South Asian community rather than expand to build relationships with our East Asian members.
Once you get comfortable with the community, you tend to go back to it over and over again, and it depends on what communities you're introduced to.
I think it's obviously pretty prevalent in the Asian communities just because people are more comfortable with people of their own ethnicities and stuff. There's a group for most major Asian ethnicities.
So I believe that, personally, I believe in mixed cultures. I believe that it's important for one to understand others' cultures, but also be able to understand your own culture and be able to present it to others. It creates this type of global type of interconnection where you learn from others, but can also teach yourself.
Yeah, I actually think it happens a lot. So I know that I have a lot of Korean friends, and I know most of them actually just hang out with Korean people. I think it's just because they're more comfortable with them. And I've also heard other ethnic people, it's actually kind of funny, other ethnic people who talk about it a lot. So I think Korean people are just known for it.
I would say I see this fairly frequently around Penn's campus. Being Asian American myself, I am privy to actually entering some of these groups, and within these groups you often have groups of, I've seen Southeast Asian, Chinese, Korean students, they gather in groups and they tend to speak in their native languages, which is a huge barrier to outside people who don't understand the language. And I think they do this as kind of a familiarity thing. It's their comfort zone.
But for especially students international students, I do find that to be more common. But even for international students, I know a lot of them are very well adjusted.
I guess an example I see a lot in Penn, but also in loads of different universities in the East Coast is a lot of Koreans who tend to just talk to other Koreans, or I see that a lot.
I think that it's something people talk about a lot. I think that it is prevalent, at least in the structural sense, but I do believe that on a more informal social level, people, at least in my surroundings, do mix a lot more, so I don't see it on a day-to-day basis as much.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of prominent examples that I've been involved with. The, I guess, South Asian community and the East Asian community tend to stick together very tightly. Like, there's not too much interaction between the two groups, but there's always, events going on for, like, South Asian Society or any of the number of East Asian cultural organizations.
I think you're comfortable with what you know, so people probably tend to self-segregate because it's something that they're comfortable with. They feel more at home with the people who are like them. But it's good to break out of your boundaries and get to know things that might make you feel uncomfortable.
This definitely it stems from comfort level and just personal choice. I do think that people who, even international people, can definitely choose to spend time with other people. I think it's just that because of their background and comfort level, they just choose to hang out with fellow Koreans.
I would say that a lot of these students are international students, and simply the culture shock of being in a new country makes them want to seek something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a lot more socially awkward for them to hang around students from another country because the humor and language and all the references, it's so much harder to pick up. So if you hang around people of your own culture, it's just a lot more natural to make friends and make conversations. So they typically choose what's easiest.
I think it's easier to talk to other people who have the same background as you, from an international student's perspective, because coming here, I do experience culture shock, and I do notice how different people's values and cultures are. So I think it's just easier, I guess, and that's why people do it.
Yeah.
Definitely dimensional. I think it's definitely more environment. I'm a big proponent of environment, all that nature nurture stuff. Like I've been saying, I think it's all about the influences around you and what you're comfortable with. I think it definitely is some personal choice. I mean, if you have the choice of doing something that you don't really know too much about, that it could be something really cool and interesting, you're not really sure, maybe it might be a little awkward, you might not know people. Kind of like when you go to a party and you don't know many people, and maybe your friend invites you to their party. A choice between that kind of thing versus, I can hang out with all my friends, all these people I already know, and we can do something that I know very well. I mean, if you don't have a reason to do the former choice, a lot of people don't do that. You really have to have a certain kind of outgoing personality to really want to do that. I'm not sure. You'd think a place like Penn might actually have more of those people, but at least my experiences is not enough. Maybe just because it takes a certain threshold. Maybe it's a pretty high threshold that a lot of people just don't meet. But yeah, I think it's mostly environmental factors with some personal choice involved.
So how do you think that this...
Once you get comfortable with the community, you tend to go back to it over and over again, and it depends on what communities you're introduced to first. And a big part of self-segregation is that people are looking for places where they feel comfortable and where they fit in, and a good proxy for that is to look at who looks like me. So if you find a group of friends that is similar to you in terms of race or culture or whatever, because that just feels more comfortable to you in the early stages of college, you're just going to keep going back to them, and I've definitely experienced that.
Let's see. We will be sure to include that in the footage.
I'm nervous! Okay. What's your name and what's your role in the APA community at Penn?
My name is...
my camera's shaking, sorry.
My name is...
What is your name, Franklin? What's your definition of self-segregation?
Hitting me with a hard question.
Well, it's your own opinion.